Welcome back to the Human Nexus podcast. My name is Andrew Brazis. I am a business coach and private chef.
Welcome back. My name is Miss Laura Machiste. I am an online tarot reader, holistic massage therapist, and energy coach. And today we are talking about communicating with your passed on loved ones and people that have transitioned to the other side. So I have a couple different instances that occurred to me that gave me full on proof that they are physically just not here, but their spirit is still around. I'm sure you have a bunch of different things as
Yeah,
well.
I have a ton
So
to share.
I'll say a little something and then we'll just like go back and forth and see what we have in terms of interconnections of storylines.
Mhm.
So I kind of figured this out pretty early in my life because I was just getting like random dreams about things and them telling me things. And I'm like, well, how can you tell me this if you're not here anymore? And then I would confirm it in the physical. And one of the biggest ones was before my grandfather passed away. I had a dream about him, and he told me in the dream to tell people that I saw him in my dream and talk to him.
And
That's
how old were you when this happened? Do you know? If you could guess.
I think I was like early 20s.
Okay.
I kind of knew that they were always around earlier in my life, but I didn't have like the physical proof of evidence until this moment. Like
Mhm.
I never saw anything. I only just like had like weird dreams, and people in my family or friends type of energy didn't start like dying until I was in like 2001. My grandfather died on Christmas Eve, but I was so young that there
Mhm.
was just nothing there for me. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, like there's grandpa, he going, this, that, and the other. But once I started getting more spiritual, more aware, older, more mature, and my other weird that it was both grandfathers as well. When he passed away and I had the dream the night before he died, he told me to tell people that I saw him. So I just didn't understand why he told me that. I'm sitting in the hospital like, no, I saw him. And everyone's looking at me like he's dying. I'm like, but I saw him. So whatever. So he passed away. And that was really one of my biggest things where I was kind of like, okay, there's something going on because
Yeah.
he was in a transition of leaving his physical body. I saw him in a dream. He told me certain things. And then, crazy enough, too, my mom's car died the day before he died. So
So
there's other
weird.
things like that, too, that
Yeah.
interconnect as well.
Yeah. I
That's my
have
first.
I have two grandfather stories. So I have a non-biological grandfather who was like the main male figure in my life as a child growing up. And he had passed away. Funny enough, not funny enough, but the day that I found out that he died, I also got cheated on. Like I found out that like the person I was dating cheated on me like same morning, same time. So that was like traumatic. But I like kind of like felt his energy throughout in like dreams, and just like day to day walk. Like he would always go to my like sports games and he'd always be off to the side smoking a cigar, which is just you can smell this like a specific cigar and you can smell it for miles or whatever. And I would get hits of that like just in the middle of places where people aren't smoking. But I've talked about my suicide story before on here, and it was about 5 or 6 years after that had happened. I saw him in a dream, and we were sitting basically in his driveway, and he appeared like we were in the car that I used to drive, and he essentially told me that he saved my life on that day. And he was like, not, it was his energy, but he was like ethereal, if that makes sense. Um, but he like recounted everything and like what happened and like what he did to intervene and like how he kept me alive essentially. So I've always been like super deeply connected to that. Even though he's not a biological family member, he still served that purpose in my life. So that's my first one.
That's so crazy. We had two grandfather stories.
Yeah.
And we did
Um,
not rehearse this in the beginning either.
what was your second one?
Oh, that one. Well, how I had the
Yeah.
first grandfather that passed away Christmas Eve. His name was Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one passed away, not on like a special date or anything. His
Mm-hmm.
name was George. But that's another thing about passed on loved ones. Looking around for their names are really important. Like, I feel like that's
Hmm.
a good one that you brought up too about the cigar smell, because I think we remove our five senses when we think about these types of things. Like, we're only like, well, if I see it. At this
Yeah.
point, it's not a seeable energy anymore.
Mhm.
It's not in the physical energy. You have to use the other senses. You have to use your ears. You have to use your feeling. You have to use your nose. You have to use your taste. Like sometimes, even like you'll taste something that they used to like, even. And like those are like really interesting instances. And just you saying that made me remember is one of the times. So another person who passed away, actually another male person too, when my dad passed away, he passed 2 weeks after his little brother died. So we knew they had some type of inter soul connection to that, because once my
Mhm.
dad found out his little brother died, his cancer spread all over his body and it was just in the bladder. So the mind really does control a lot, because right when he
Yeah.
had the awareness of it in the brain, his cancer went everywhere. So that was another indication for me too, that through his through my dad's passing taught me the mind to body connection with just seeing it
Mhm.
happen. And so basically me and my sister, they grew up in the Bronx and they moved to Pennsylvania, and we went to go visit that family in Pennsylvania, and we were driving home, and I kid you not, we could smell my uncle, my dad's younger brother, his cologne in the car with us. And we were just hit with it. We both smelled it. We were like, oh my gosh. And we knew it was our Uncle Steven. And I was just like, wow, like that's crazy. And I didn't, that was my first experience of a different sense going off.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
interesting that you bring up the cigar smell. All of them smoked a bunch of cigars too. That must have been a thing back in the day where everyone was just
Yeah.
on the cigars. But all of them, uncle, dad, both grandfathers, cigar smokers, except for the one, he was very like OCD. Like he like
Mhm.
hand sanitized everything. So he was not smoking things, but yeah, that's interesting. So I feel like that's what gets missed, the nose sense. Like
Yeah.
sometimes your passed on loved ones will give you a scent that reminds you of them,
Mhm.
of to know that their presence is around you.
Yeah. No, I think Sense a really good one. For me, it's been mostly in dreams. Like the second one was I was with Barbara, one of my mentors, and we were doing like Ouija board activities. And I tried to call in Michael, my the other grandfather that I was talking about earlier, and he's just a very Catholic man. And she was like, he's not coming through. Like, I can't get anything. I was like, okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. So then I called in my other grandfather, who's biological, and he came through immediately. And we had spoke or whatever, and did some Ouija board stuff. And I said, if you can, please visit me in my dreams or something. I would love to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in 10 years or whatever. And it was either that night or the next night for the first time, I see him in my dreams, and we sat and talked like the entire dream time, which is, God knows how long. And it's just him and I having a conversation, just like in the void. Like it was him and I, and there was no like background or anything, but it was like a real heartfelt conversation. And I remember waking up and being like, holy shit, this stuff actually works. Like, I'm connecting with these people or with, my grandfather who I haven't spoken with in, a decade. So that was cool.
Right. And I love that you asked him through the ritual, because a lot of the times through readings, I always say to like, ask for the sign,
Mhm.
ask to be spoken to, ask to be shown the way. Sometimes we just go through it and all we do is just complain or feel like this or feel like that. And they want to help us, but we have to like
Mhm.
give them the access energy to do so. And a lot of the times it's either when it's like saving the energy if it's not your time, or like when you truly do ask for some type of sign or some type of
Mhm.
dream or some type of like information. And if you're receptive enough to it, I definitely feel like they try to give you as much as they can. because I truly do feel like they do want to help. And I think I might have said this on here once before as well, or in readings or something. There's this book called Looking for Alaska. It's a Hulu series as well. And at the end of this book, the narrator goes over science and spirituality and a very, like, I think it's 2 pages. And he talks about how scientifically, if energy cannot be created nor destroyed, then how do people just leave? Like, where does the energy of the person go when the physical entity is gone? If it cannot go anywhere, it can only be transmuted. So I like to think about that when I think about these things, because it gives
Mm.
me a strong indication of like, okay, even science backs this up somehow, even though they're not specifically saying word for word, but metaphorically, it definitely makes sense. So I feel like they're around, they're near, they're just on a different vibration, a different playing field, and they really can communicate, talk, and do things. And I've seen like evidential proof and what I've spoken already about. But for like my mom, who was kind of like a non believer, like my dad dying kind of gave her the belief more or less. And she had a dream about him, about a watch with numbers in the back of it, not like a
Mhm.
regular watch where you could see numbers. And he told her that I had it in the dream. So she told me and she asked me about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's talking about this watch. It's not just a number watch, it like has a roulette wheel on it. So how would that have known, like
Yeah.
that information?
Yeah.
So this was nothing that she was aware of. So if he was able to tell her something that she had no awareness on, that in physical reality is real, then that was another proof for me. I don't have any more of like non-belief energy. I know
Yeah.
they're here.
Yeah. I would say I'm kind of the same there. I've had enough instances to be like, oh, there's some part of this person's energy that is either trying to reach me or communicate with me, or at least show that they're here, which is really good. It's great. It's nice. I mean, for me, it's like, oh, okay. Like I know I'm not like fully alone, that I have, people passed on who are still, I don't know, like guardian angels, if you will. I think, people who you really, really value will come to your aid in that sense that have passed on.
Mhm. And I believe that sometimes our passed on loved ones in the physical, they transition like into your spirit guide.
Yeah,
Like
that's what
they
I'm trying
take
to say.
over
Yeah.
like certain roles. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because even like my dad used to say as well, like another thing of like the mind to body connection. He would say, like, once you, because he had 2 daughters, and he was like, once you girls don't need me anymore, I'm gonna start walking north. We're like, what the heck does that mean? He's like, that means I'm not gonna be here anymore. So, and it was real because like once we were both established, had like our careers per
Mhm.
se, he was like, okay, my time is done. You gotta go. So it was
That's
just
so
like a
interesting.
really interesting, yeah, it's almost like he knew what his soul contracted to without
Yeah.
actually like having that awareness of it either.
Hmm.
Which is really, but he was a Gemini sun and he had a lot of Scorpio energy, like a lot of it. When we looked up his chart, I was like, damn, you're a Scorpio rising, you're a Scorpio moon, you're a Scorpio V, you're basically a Scorpio with a Gemini sun.
Hmm.
So that makes sense why he had that connection to death, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I was just like, how do you know? You don't know when you're gonna go. And he was like, yeah, I'll know. I'll start walking. I'm like, what does that mean? But yeah,
So strange.
there's just weird things that occur.
Is there anything that you do on a like monthly, weekly, day-to-day basis to like encourage this connection, like those types of connections?
Yeah. So I do have an altar for my dad. He's the only one I really do have an altar
Mm.
for. I actually made his hutch, like his little desk area. Like my mom puts stuff there too. So I basically have like a water for him. I refill it whenever it's low. When I really need assistance and like specifically asking for it, food. But like
Like you'll put
bread,
food on the altar, is what you're saying? Yeah.
bread, pizza, like things that I know he liked. So
Hmm.
like I know he liked pizza with like red hot pepper flakes. So I'd make sure that it was a pizza with the red hot pepper flakes and put it on. So like giving the person like you know the things that they would like I'm sure he would love a shot of espresso, but we don't have an espresso machine anymore. It's just regular coffee. So like those types of things I feel like really amplify the energy. And even like when I was like going through it not that long ago and I was just like kind of like, all right, someone someone's got to deal with this because I'm backing out of reality right now. I specifically gave him like chocolate cake because I know he liked chocolate. And I was like, well, you liked sweets. If you got him a cake, like it wasn't any other flavor but chocolate. So I gave him chocolate, and I swear I feel like he came through. So,
Yeah,
but I
it's
only do it when I feel like I really want them to know I need them at this moment. Like he always consistently has water.
hmm
But whenever there's an offering of like a meal or a food or a specific type of dessert or a specific type of appetizer, there's usually an intention like, hey, here's a piece of provolone cheese. I need help. You know?
yeah, that's so interesting. I would say I don't do this regularly, but whenever I go home, I always visit my grandmother and grandfather's grave, and I will always bring the same cigar that my grandfather. Well, I'll get two. I'll smoke one, and I'll give him one, and then my grandmother would collect rocks. And so anytime I'm always out on travels, I always grab one for her and drop it off
Oh,
there at the grave. And it feels like since doing that, I feel them come through in like weird, strange ways. Like the last time I was there was my birthday actually. And I did the cigar, I did the rock, and I lit the cigar, and it was a completely like normal day, not windy or anything. As soon as I lit the cigar, the wind started blowing like crazy, just out of nowhere. And then it stopped in like, a couple of like seconds. I don't do like a daily practice, but on my full new moon rituals, like when I begin the ritual, I call in like spirit guides and ancestors, and then I name those people that have passed on. And I feel like I can feel their presence when I'm in that space. So that's really cool. Um, but outside of that, I just pay attention to like, I don't know, the smell of cigar smoke or things that my grandmother would be interested in, like specific types of birds and like noticing when those things pop up.
right. That's so crazy too, is that you mentioned birds. I actually had a dream. So in the Leo, so there's like a big connection about like rainbows, right? They
Mm.
indicate like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
especially when
Yeah.
pets die, it's like the rainbow bridge, they call it. The
Mhm.
rainbow bridge is, it doesn't matter if you're a pet or not, even humans go across it. And it was about to be Easter weekend. I did a reading for the Leo people. So I have this app called Moonly. I don't know if other people have this app, but it's supposed to give you like the transitions of the moon. You could pay
Mhm.
for it if you want to be like getting a little affirmation based off of your birth chart. But when I put my information in, it told me and I was Aquarius sun and it's like a different type of astrology. So I just unsubscribed because I was like, now this is going to make no sense to me. Um, but I just keep it for like the regular moon phases. And so for the Easter weekend, mind you, I believe that it doesn't matter what the religion is, when there is a high spiritual energy, they're just around. That's just how it
Mhm.
is. So even if it's Hanukkah or if it's Ramadan, like it doesn't matter. If there's a high faith energy happening at that moment, the energy's high. It doesn't matter what religion it is, what they're doing, or what they're talking about. If there is a moment for it, there's a moment for it. Like Good Friday or like Ash Wednesday, like the energy is just a little thinner because people have more faith. It doesn't matter where they're specifying it, just because the faith is just there. So, anyways, I didn't connect to the fact that it was Easter because like my brain is not there anymore in that type of conditioning.
Yeah.
So I had a dream where I saw all different color birds. Like I kid you not, like I saw a green bird in my dream, and I was just like, "What the heck? I never seen a green bird before." It was green, yellow, red, pink, all these color birds. And then I did a Leo reading, and they got the rainbow card in two different decks. And these
Mhm.
decks are huge. So I'm like, damn, out of all the cards you guys could get, you got the rainbow twice. And then the next day, I see a rainbow, which I thought was weird. And then the day before Easter, I see that Moonly app
Mhm.
notifies you every day with like an affirmation. and their notification was something about a rainbow and a picture of a rainbow. So it was like two rainbows there. I actually shared it online, and somebody from the Leo subscribers wrote, and they were like, I got this notification too. I didn't think of it any, because at first I was like, damn, my brain, I mean, not my brain, my phone's listening to me. They gave me a rainbow on purpose. Like, everybody gets different notifications. Like, this is just proof that my phone is listening to me.
Mhm.
Nope. Somebody else commented on the channel, and they were like, I got this notification too. I didn't think about the connection to the reading until I saw that you posted that you also got the notification. So I was like, wow, this Moonly app notified people of a double rainbow 24 hours after it came through in the reading, after I seen a bunch of birds that were different colors. So I just didn't know exactly what was going on, but I just thought it was really cool and weird, which is like kind of the theme of my life.
Have you made a connection for that for you?
The Pope died. That was the connection I made.
Interesting.
He died right after Easter.
Yeah, that is so crazy.
I mean,
But
I
you,
do think that like they were around more than
sure.
usual, right? Because of the high
Yeah.
faith holiday.
Mhm.
But because of the so strong of rainbow energy, knowing the rainbow bridge is open and then the Pope dying right after Easter, that's what I thought it was.
That's interesting. Well, you sent me. I have that private chef event coming up, and you had sent me one of the reels that one of the collaborators did, and it had a rainbow in it, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're absolutely right." And I also, yeah, I think it's the only rainbow thing that I have, but that's so weird, so weird.
Yeah. And I feel like obviously there isn't like where you could write down of like a scripture of proof or anything like that. But I do think it's really creepy that the Pope passed away the day right after Easter. And then I
Yeah.
seen all these rainbows. And it just so happened that, because I feel like that's the thing too. If you want to be open to connecting to your passed on loved ones, you also have to accept the fact that death is a thing. And you might get messages of new life, or like you might get messages of pregnancy or something like that,
Mhm.
but then you might also get messages of that things are passing on. Either it's like,
Mhm.
like it's like the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the both, the duality of the energy. You're going to receive messages of birth of new things, and you're going to receive messages of the end of death of other things. So if you want to be open to receive information, then you just have to be accepting of all. And I had a very interesting moment on Easter. My grandma used to own a card store, so she has all these bags from
Mhm.
when she owned a card store. Mind you, she's my grandma, so these bags are from like the 1950s, right? So one of the bags, or some of the bags she used for this Easter, there was a couple little like dead gnats in the bag. So she didn't even notice. She can't barely see. She put stuff in there. She's giving it to us. I noticed. I was like, oh my God, there's dead bugs in here. So I already knew after seeing all the rainbows, like granted that is like a happy symbolism type of energy. Does it connect to that? No, maybe. But when I seen that there was dead gnats on Easter, I knew that there was going to be collective news of someone passing away. I just didn't know who it was going to be. But I connected it to
Interesting.
collective because I did a reading for Leos as a collective. That
Hmm.
didn't
Yeah.
happen through a personal reading that I did for someone. And then somebody through the collective also connected to me about that notification and this, that, and the other. So I knew it had to do with like a passing on that the collective would feel. I just had no idea what it was going to be.
That's so wild. So wild.
Yeah, my life is weird. And I had to come to that acceptance about the energy too. Like, I want to be psychic and know everything. And now I'm starting to like read people's minds. And I don't care actually what you guys are thinking. It's starting to get a
Yeah.
little bit,
I
yeah.
think I mean I'm kind of in the place with like tarot where there's some things that I'd rather just find out on my own. Like I don't need to know the whole picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
Um
get too deep. I keep my stuff very general, very broad, and sort of surface
yeah.
level. And I
Hmm.
give people like metaphorical examples.
Hmm.
So there is a very rare chance that my example is going to hit your message. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the metaphor of what the energy is will be helpful for the future of you navigating. But the readers that are like, their hair is brown, they have blue eyes, they have
Mm.
this tattoo on the back of their hair, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're here, they're there, you're here, they're there. Like where's the mystery? Where's the
Yeah.
excitement of
And not
figuring it
only
out?
that, but it's like when you go that deep, I feel like I see this is just me, but like have you
I know
seen
what you're
Marvel? Have you
hmm
seen you've seen Marvel and there's like all these different timelines? Like
Right,
I feel like when you go that deep into tarot, you basically are like focusing on one timeline
right.
when you should probably just let it flow out the way it's supposed to be because if you're focusing so much, then you're going to disrupt it. So
Exactly.
just let it be and just let things play out.
And labeling it that strongly removes all the other energies that it could be. So, for example, say I'm looking for love, I'm watching all these love readings, and this one reader keeps talking about somebody who has blue eyes. So then every single person that comes my way that does not have blue eyes,
You're like,
that's
no.
it. Right. So I just
Yeah.
free willingly took that. And that's what I like to say to people too. I'm like, you guys have free will,
Mhm.
that's a thing. So you can take whatever guidance is coming from the reading and use it, or you could not.
Mhm.
And that's just like, and sometimes the guidance is literally to take a break. And people are like, oh my God, I can't afford a break. I'm like, yo, just rest for like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have
Just
to be
chill.
something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like
Um,
that is not helpful sometimes, or most of the time at least.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about some of my experience, negative experience with talking to loved ones, I guess. So using my grandfather as an example, he would come through to me in my dreams quite often, and I got used to like what his energy felt like. And there would be other dreams that he would be in, but it wasn't his energy. It was like something either I was projecting or something else from the outside was like acting like him, and then it would like erupt and get like really oppressive. And it took me a couple of times, like when it first happened, I was like, oh shit, like this isn't safe anymore. Like I can't be, I don't know what this is, but it's not good. And then like once I realized, like once I learned to work with it and recognize it for it being not him, I like was able to move through it. So
Mm.
I think for anybody who's actively trying to communicate with past on loved ones, I think you should be attuned to like what you think their energy is, and not just throwing, I don't know, everything out there, if that makes sense.
Right, exactly. Because there are those things that could be, I guess you could call it a facade, where if there is a different type of energy that's trying to access your energy and it uses something that you're familiar with, that stuff happens on the physical and the 5D.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yes, that's all I have for now as well, because I don't want to say everything and then not have anything for the future either, because I'm sure other things I will remember that come up. But make an altar, talk to them, figure out what their energy feels like, know when their energy is available, know when the energy is distant. I would definitely keep in mind of things of like faithful holidays, like we were talking about, like things of like Easter, things where like people are praying a little bit more.
Or their
That
birthday.
birthdays,
Mhm.
anniversary, death dates, stuff like that. They love coming through on those specific times and days to give you that like full on indication that like, hey, no, it's me, I'm here. Or it could be, something that is just trying to, because I feel like that happens a lot of times too. Like now that I'm like thinking about it per se, I know it's not really a passed on loved one. I can't get a good read on them, like if it's so out of ordinary, like I think I saw them but I'm not really sure, that's when I know it was kind of just like a projection, either like you said, of like your own type of thing or
Mhm.
something just totally different. So everyone has their own spiritual journey, and it's just helpful, I feel like, to at least try to see what you can get out of them, call in the white light, do whatever you have to do. And if you're spiritually curious enough, it'll be figured out in what your specific past on loved ones are trying to tell you, assist you with. So if anybody
Yeah.
has any stories, write them down in the comments. the next episode, we are going to be talking about spirituality and money connection, right in time for the movement closer, deeper into Taurus season, into Gemini season. So that'll probably be a pretty good transition of the money of security and how to work with it in that Gemini dual sense. So we'll try to get that in there too now that I think about the dates.
Yeah, very, very exciting. Thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya. Bye.